You're gonna want to watch this whole interview because I'm showing you Michael, who is a men's masculinity coach who recently had a $14,000 sales week in our program. And he joined us when he was making 2 or 3 grand a month, some good stuff on the side, maybe even some somewhat full-time income some months. But after getting our help, he actually had now a consistent means of attracting clients for his coaching business. So before us, he was a real expert and had already had some clients, but after us, now he has a really consistent way to get out there and sign clients. And you'll hear in this interview, it's the perfect clients. It's who he's been looking for, who his network has been sending him anyway. This word of mouth that's been working for him. Now it's a predictable machine that he can just turn on and get those clients. So really, really cool. An amazing interview, very interesting individual, and you're really going to want to watch the whole thing because you're going to learn a lot about what it takes to succeed with your coaching business. Now, this is one of our private clients in the Consulting Blueprint program where we help you launch your ad, get great at selling your program and everything. And you'll hear exactly what that looked like in his experience and his words in this interview. So enjoy, and you'll learn a ton from this, even if you have no plans or no intentions on becoming a client of ours. So enjoy. All right. Michael, welcome, dude.
Yeah, it's such an honor to be here.
Dude, it's a real pleasure, man. You've been killing it. You've been absolutely killing it in a really cool niche too. I'm excited for people to learn more about you and for your story to inspire a ton of people, dude. So
Mhm.
welcome,
Yeah,
congratulations,
thank you.
and I'm excited to share, you've been putting in the work. Like I really see it. I mean, I hear from our coaches, see in the calls, like you're doing the thing. So it's really good to have you here. So
Yeah, such an
yeah,
honor to be here.
it's
Thanks
gonna
for
be
creating
fun.
the program for us to all learn from.
Of course, man. Of course. Well, tell people your journey, what your stories looked like so far, man. Help us understand like what's happened.
Yeah, so, I joined with you, Trey, in I think it was January.
Hmm.
So it's just been a few months. And when I came across the work that you do, I was in this phase where I used to, in my previous life, I had an actual trade business. I was a plumber gas fitter. I had a plumbing and heating company. I did air
Okay,
conditioning.
gotcha. That's really cool.
Yeah, and part-time, for 17 years, I've been developing the skills required to be a relational expert and to support people in the relational space. And when I came across your stuff, like the part that I was struggling with was like, how do I grow my online business doing this thing that I know I'm so good at? And my weak point, my weak link was marketing. It's like, how do I actually get the people in front of me so that I can do the work that I know that I'm good at?
100%.
And when I came across your program, it was so digestible and simple. And like, to be honest, I'm not even through all the modules yet because I'm just integrating the ones that were just like the marketing pieces and, how to do the calls and like all these pieces.
Yeah.
And there's so much there to work with. Like it's the information then gets to, actually be brought into the day to day.
Mm.
And where I was at when I first started was, I had container client. I call it containers, coaching container clients. I work with people for 3 to 6 months. And I had container clients, but then it was just people who knew me, whether it was me
Mm.
being on stage or just seeing how I live my life in my community. But I was having the struggle point of, okay, well, these are the people that know me, like, where am I going to get new clients? And so with
Right.
your program, I was like, oh, right, ads, the thing that I was resisting for so many years of like, I don't want to be that guy who has ads and like
Yeah.
markets in that way. And then just the way that you spoke to it, somehow it landed. I'm like, oh, right, this isn't about like selling people. This is about making the gifts that I offer to people accessible. It's like
Hmm.
bringing my message to the world. It's like, how am I going to help people? How selfish of me to not bring what it is that I do to the world, to the world and to the people who don't know me, to
Yeah,
like who
dude.
don't know what it is that I do. Like for me, that's how I see marketing now.
Mm. It's
And
so good that we could help you kind of think about it like that, you know?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
huge. Just that
Mm.
that paradigm shift, because now it's like motivating to want to do the ad to
Yeah.
promote what it is that I know I can help people with. It's like,
Yeah.
here, this is where you're at. This is how I can help you. And so when I
Wow.
started, I was I was floating in this realm of like two to 5K a month.
Yeah.
And it was kind of actually divine. A great job in your ad, because I was like, I think the ad was your wife naming, like, are you at like that 2 to 3 or 2 to 5? I was like, yes, that
Yeah,
is
I
me.
am.
Do you want to be at like 20K? I'm like, yeah, that's exactly where I want to be.
Yeah,
And
wow.
yeah, this just where I started, it was at that place, the 2 to 5K. It was inconsistent. And right before I joined your program, I folded the doors to my plumbing business, and I was like, I'm going all in on this. My
Huh.
coaching business is like everything to me. I'm burning the boats. And so I burned all the boats. I, invested with you and went all in. And I think it took me about a week until I, launched the ad, put it out, started having conversations. And within the week, if I'm remembering correctly, I had 2 container clients sign from the ad.
Nice, dude.
And
That's
then
so cool.
it just created so much like motivation and inspiration of like, oh my God, like I just did an ad. I'm now having a conversation with somebody, and
Yeah.
whoa, I just signed a container client, like 2 container clients. And I was like, okay, this is the right. This is the benefit of ads. Like, keep doing this. And then, I
Totally.
think I ended up signing a few more and a few more. And then
You started
within
compounding the profits. Yeah.
yeah, compounding the profits. My first month, I think it was 8,500 in the first month.
Hmm.
And then my second month, I kind of hit a dip, and you talk about this in your training where there's like seasons. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah. And when I first started, I was just like, oh my God, sign client, sign client. It was like 4 or 5 clients in the first month. And then I hit this like kind of like dip, and I was like, oh no, the system's not working, or my ad's not working. And I kind of yeah, went into this human experience of like, I'm kind of freaking out. Like, and something that you teach in the program is like, it's all about being neutral, this neutrality of
Yeah.
seasons and understanding. Charlie's Munger talks about this too, trusting the vicissitudes of life. There is always
Hmm.
ups and downs.
Hmm.
And it was funny because in that month of feeling like, oh, there's a bit of a lull here, I think it was like the very next week, it was like client after client after client after client signing, like all in a row. And I was like, oh yeah, right. This is what Trey talks about. Like, trust the process. Just like look at the tangibles, like look at the data points that are in the
Yeah.
Excel sheet, and just execute. Like, where are my weak links, and just refine these little moments. You bring in this whole Kaizen method where it's like these little 1% shifts daily, and just focus on those pieces, and then just trust the process. And what I find is the more I do that, the more success comes in. And it kind of takes out those um what's I'm a very emotional person, so I won't say it takes out, but it softens those emotional
Yeah.
waves
Yep.
of the
Yep.
process.
Man, that's so cool, dude. Dude, it's
Yeah.
it's got me. I should be vulnerable for the recording. Today's been like a
Yeah.
crazy day in the business for me. So like hearing you say it, dude, it's got me like, oh, this is awesome. Like it's so worth what we do, man, that you can experience these wins. So
Mhm.
worth it, dude.
Mhm.
Um, do you mind if we share numbers? Or you
Let's
because
do
you're
it.
saying
Yeah.
clients, you just had a $14,000 week, man.
Yeah.
Like, how does that feel, dude? How does it feel to have sold that many clients in a week? Now it's not your average week, right? It's a good week, but
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
like coming from where you were to where you are, like, how does that feel, man? How does that hit you?
Yeah. It feels so good. It feels so good. Like, to have a 14K week for me, and knowing, like, for me, it's like the money is a cool piece. Like, having a 14K week is like, yeah, it's like that. For me, it's like that masculine quality of providing for my family, of like that feels so good. It's
Yeah,
so empowering.
yeah,
I feel like this deep sense of relief in my system, knowing that this is how I get to show up for my family. Like, if I
yeah,
keep repeating this system over and over and over and over, there will just be so much more stability and
yeah,
resource for my family. Like,
yeah.
Like that part for me feels so good. The
Yes.
part on top of that that feels even better is how aligned those clients were. So it's like my highest ticket offer with these last three clients, and they're exactly who I want to work with. Like they're the people that when I work with them, they show up, they're so willing. I didn't even really have to pitch at the end. It was like they were just like, what are my next steps? When can we start? And I was like, oh my God, like
And they
this,
all came
that
from the ad.
all came from the ad. Mind you, one of them was somebody who's followed me for years, but it was, the
Sure.
placement of ad that brought up into their awareness of like, oh, this is what he does. Like
Right,
that's
right.
something that your systems really brought in is the clarity of the message. Like if I'm not clearly expressing what it is that I do or
Who
who I
it's
help,
for and the outcome and the strategy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And
Nice,
that
dude.
part feels really good because now when
That's
I'm
really
sitting
good.
down and having these conversations with people, I feel the confidence of what it is that's being expressed, where it's like it's very clear what I do. And
Mm-hmm.
then by the end, it's like it's just easy yeses.
So
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
So sick, dude.
Yeah.
Well, you've
Yeah.
been doing the work, man, and look, like our program is just based on like tons of lessons that I've learned, like lesson. It's calluses, it's learning it the hard way, you know. Um, And I'm telling you now too, dude, like, we in our community got like almost 400 members, and we've sold way more clients than that. It's just we moved platforms forever ago, and so I've sold like 650, 700-ish clients. It's the same thing over and over again, dude. It's just
Mhm.
add with a message, nurture, get on a meeting, see if they're a good fit, make an offer. It's just that over and over again, and mixed with some organic too, dude. It's yeah, like I tell you, man, like the 14-week, yeah, sure, there's ups and downs and everything, but there's an element of that of there's no luck involved in that. You know what I mean? You have one that came from after following you for a while, but it sounds like and this is my message to you and other clients that are doing similar numbers. It's just like, man, just it's predictable. Just let it be
Mhm.
predictable. Just you can just
Mhm.
accept that that's a blessing that's in your life now. And for me, it's like something that I forget. I'm like, man, you know what?
Mhm.
Like anytime I could just like turn on a thing and get people who I can help. And even you mentioning that you saw the ad, it's so funny. The weird feeling in my head of like, man, I remember sitting behind my computer and like clicking a bunch of UI. I mean, like the budget and like the targeting, da, 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 da. And then I have this individual who saw that and who clicked it and who's here. And it's such a funny, cool thing, man. Because
Mhm.
it's just amazing, dude. And I just want to say congratulations too. You're doing it. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
doing it.
Thanks,
Like
man.
it's happening.
Yeah.
It's got to be so like okay. So let me ask then. So ad, it sounds like is one of the things that you kind of got like how to structure that, how to like really make your offer like a thing, not just like this vague relationship, whatever. It's like really give it like some meat. Since you kind of got that, what all have you pulled away from CB that you would say has led to some of this success? Obviously, you having done a lot of the work, so credit to you in that, but what would you say is like, if you had to boil it into a couple things, what would you say? Ad is one of them, but
Yeah. Yeah. God, there's so many layers. A couple things. Holy man. Um, the piece with CB, like there's the one simple piece that I want to speak to, and that is the community. Like having a community to show up in where there's other humans in similar places, but in different levels, like chewing on the learnings of entrepreneurship and like figuring out like the messaging, all the like practical pieces of how to put together a good ad and how to launch it and timing and budget on it. And,
mm,
that's one piece is like having the community to learn in, to be vulnerable in, to like bring those, there's like to bring the wins and the celebrations, which is amazing. That's a great part of it. And I feel like that's the byproduct of having somewhere to bring the pieces that are difficult, that are challenging, where the self-doubt comes in, the imposter syndrome comes in,
mm,
where just the human experience comes in. And so
mm.
having a community to bring those pieces has been life-changing for me.
Wow,
Um,
good.
and getting to hear other people's stories and reflections of where they're at puts things into perspective. And then
Mm,
also feeling a space where like people within the community themselves want to help and they
mm,
want to share insights and they want to share where they learn. So there's this like compound effect.
mm,
So, I'd say, the most basic simple part is the ad. It's like, get like, this is how to put together an ad. This is how to, speak your message, put it out to the world. This is how to launch it. This is how to relate with it once DMs start coming in to, how do you take that ad and then transition that into messages in the DMs? And then how do you transition that into having a call? Um, I'd say those are the simple pieces and steps. And then, to go into like the micro of it all, it's like, holy, it's the mindset. It's the
mm,
whole psychology of the business. It's the emotional side of things. It's like the one thing that I'd say has been the most valuable so far is kind of the role of what to take when having a conversation with somebody that is a sales call. Like
mm,
understanding that there's this need to be in the role of authority and that
mhm,
is what creates safety. And the word that I use here is it creates safety for the conversation, for the
mm,
person to actually feel seen and supported in. Like
mm.
that's been a
People
game
need a
changer.
guide. People need a leader. That's one of the core secrets that I think if people really get it, like people are desperate to be led. It's not
Hmm.
this thing that you fight for. People are desperate to be led.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and that's a whole nother paradigm shift in itself,
Hmm.
is recognizing the most valuable thing that can be offered, not even just in the calls, but in my actual session work too, because I can feel where that's translated into the work that I actually do in my one-on-ones, is holding that role of authority so that that person can lean in and bring those more vulnerable places into that space. Like that's been game changing because what I've
Hmm.
noticed, and especially this is a cool thing of like watching calls, so many calls over and over and over. I can feel it in my body now when I watch a call where God, and I, I've been in this place, so I can share my own experience of where there's been that part of me that's like almost wants to be the nice guy, you know?
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
something I teach in the work that I do when it comes to the relational side of things, but kill the nice guy. This nice guy who's like, I just want to be kind and nice here and
Yeah.
like, let the person take up space and, so
Yeah,
that I
dude.
can
You
get
lose
the
so many
sale.
sales doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And like
Yeah.
with almost this motive of like I'll navigate around them in
Yeah.
hopes that I'll get the sale. And then what
Yeah.
I notice is that's even when I watch, like if I watch now a call where that's happening, I'm like, it's so destabilizing.
Yeah.
Like it's not it's like,
Man.
well, can you guide me? I'm like, I'm here. I
Yeah.
believe in you. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm on this call. I need to
Mm-hmm.
be led. But then
Mm-hmm.
if there's this like nice guy in me or whatever, it's like, well, then I'm not actually showing that I can guide or help anyone. They need to
100%.
feel like a little bit of assertiveness. They need to
Yes.
feel, this was a whole mindset shift for me of like, there's times where, I have to interject or I
Yeah.
have to call something out or I have to redirect,
Yes.
what's being explored. And it's like, that's the thing that's actually been the most helpful. And I notice when I bring that, that's where the biggest shifts happen. Even just in the discovery call, like I'll watch shifts happen in someone's experience just by bringing that energy of authority and
Yes.
like guiding them with what's happening in their process or the pattern or whatever that struggle point is in their life. Like bring in some authority and I'm like, whoa, they're now having an emotional release in front of me. And it's like, oh, right, because they've needed someone to come in and actually give an accurate reflection, actually give some guidance and support. Like that's what's so distressing. That's why they're looking for help.
Yes.
And like to watch that, even just in a discovery, but then to watch how that translates into session work, that's been a game changer too.
I love it, dude. It's why we lead the sales calls the way we do. The opening
Hmm.
line, like, what motivated you to spend some time with me? Like, why are you here?
Hmm.
Because the reason why they're on the call is the reason why they'll buy,
Hmm.
right? The way we spend money, we spend time. Like the fact that they're willing to take time, like lose time to be here, means there's something painful enough for them, or there's a desire that they want, one of the two, that they don't
Mhm.
know how to get or don't know how to solve. That's the only reason why they'd be here. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, I love that. It really is. It really is so cool, man, watching a guy like yourself who really can help people um, realize a system for doing it. It's like it's not just the ad, it's everything. I think people tend to, it's so funny, man. I used to teach organic marketing. People are like, "Oh,
Mhm.
you're the organic coach." And I'm like, I guess so. Now I teach paid, and they're like, "You're the ad coach." I'm like, "Well, I mean, sure, whatever. You can put me in that box. It's impossible to communicate further than that because most people aren't even paying enough attention to really care about the details."
Yeah.
But this is the stuff that we do. This is the stuff that, if you have a message, you can help people. It's like, how do you turn a stranger into a client without making any promises that you can't keep?
Mhm.
Key. Or using any unnecessary pressure, another key, or doing anything unethical or straight up lying. Like, how do you do
Mhm.
that? You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
And navigating that tight line, um, and making a ton of money doing it, helping a ton of people. It's so fun, dude. It's so fun. It's like the highlight of what I get to do is getting to hear from clients that have succeeded. Um, well, man, what else, man? Like, what would you say? Okay, as an old version of yourself and how you viewed your business, because there's a segment of the people who watch our stuff that's going to be very much like yourself, where it's like very real expertise, like doing it for a long time.
Mhm.
Never had a system for acquisition.
Mhm.
What would you say you took away? Um, like, because that's another micro thing. I'm willing to go to those micro things because I think that's the real stuff. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So what's another micro thing? Like the frame on the call, the authority on the call. You brought up like Kaizen. I'd love to just hear like what else made it work for you. Because it's good feedback
Mhm.
for me, and it also helps both existing clients who are watching this who are inspired by it, as well as potential ones, know if it's the right fit for them. And ideally, we scare away some wrong fits with the answers. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm. Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. So I'd love to hear.
Yeah, one of the pieces that comes up, it's funny when you talk about the old self, because I had recently pulled up one of my oh no, it wasn't my journal. It's when Facebook pops up those memories.
Yeah.
It popped up one of the memories from 9 years ago when it was when I was really trying at business
Mm.
as a younger entrepreneur. And one of the memories popped up. It was me being like, well, I failed my second business, but no shame. I've just learned and discovered I'm not a sales guy. And
Oh,
yeah, and I read what I wrote there, and it was so interesting because I could see where I was at with it within my own self-sabotage and limitation, and the inability to see the mirror in myself of it's not that I wasn't a salesperson. I couldn't be with the discomfort in my body
yeah.
with what I was being invited to learn about that I wasn't very good at.
Yeah.
And so now fast forward 9 years and it gives me chills is like now I love sales because I
Yeah.
understand sales is relationship. And,
Yes.
being a relationship coach and being a relationship expert, that's my jam of like, oh, it's actually that is what marketing is.
Yeah.
And this is one of the most profound pieces I feel like I got from your program that I love so much is this isn't about me talking about all the things that I'm really good at. This is about being so devoted and passionate about seeking to understand another person's experience and how I can help. Like, that's
Yeah,
like
dude.
life altering to look at it from that lens because I feel like a lot of people get stuck and project onto marketing of like, oh, it's so icky and it's like just trying to get sales and it's selfish and it's just for money and all this bullshit story that gets projected out into the marketing space. But man, any really good marketer that I've ever met, the message that I keep feeling from you is there is a devotion to figuring out how to build a person up and to how to help somebody through a place where they're stuck or blocked. Like
Yep.
that's marketing is like in order to market well, I have to really know what's happening for a person and to know how to speak to it. Like
Yes.
that's marketing. It's not
Yes,
me
dude.
sitting there being like, well, these are my qualifications. Like, here's my certificate and this and this and this. Loss of interest. No one's going to click that. No one cares. But
Yeah,
if I
man.
start talking about like, hey man, like, are you struggling in your relationship? Your partner feeling unattracted to you? You spiraling in shame and having watching these thoughts of where you want to kill yourself, or just feeling really insecure and inadequate. You have no male relationships in your life, and you're kind
Start
of
calling out the problems
and
and
you
like,
just
holy cow,
call
how does
out
this
all
guy
these
know
things.
me?
It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's exactly what I'm experiencing. It's
Yep.
like, well, then there's connection. And this is
Yeah.
the thing that I love about marketing is like if you can get to that place of knowing what's happening for a person, you can connect. The
Yeah.
second you make that connection, now you're drawing in and attracting in sales like money and great revenue's amazing, but you're attracting the people that you're meant to help and serve.
100%.
Like that's
100%. Yeah, dude. And then to add on top of it, that you can raise it whenever you want by just spending more. Like that's when
yeah.
I get so excited. That's why I'm like, how do I not get this business to a big place? Because like we've got so many stories like yours. It's just like I feel irresponsible to not uh try and really grow it out. Because it's
Mhm.
like, dude, just we're gonna help so many people.
Yeah.
And I'm able to provide for my family in such an amazing way. So it just is like, yeah, it's really neat, when you find resonance of a very real market need that you care about, that you can actually solve.
Mhm.
And then you have a consistent, scalable, predictable way of attracting people who just kind of get it, who need it, who are ready to have that conversation.
Mhm.
It just is, dude. It's the best business model, by
Mhm.
far. Well, man, what would you say is like some advice to both existing clients as well as anybody who maybe has an expert consulting, training business, coaching business, kind of like having coming out of a $14,000 week right now. You know what I mean? Like good spot. You're kind of starting to feel some of the fruits of the work. Maybe I would love if you would share some advice. Like this
Mhm.
is what, I wasn't doing that I'm now doing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or this is a
Mhm.
perspective that really helped me get here. And we've already kind of talked about some of that, but maybe in the
Mhm.
context of trying to serve somebody else, you know?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest piece would be really focusing on the skill part of what it is that someone offers. Like if someone's listening to this, like where is the place that you help people the most in a way that you really enjoy, and just like really feed that while bringing a sense of responsibility to learning the skills required to attracting the people that you can serve.
So a sense of responsibility towards doing that,
Huge
almost like I
sense of
have to.
responsibility. Yeah.
Dang,
Yeah,
I like
I'd say
that.
like the biggest piece of advice, like, and I'll watch it and there's no judgment here at all. But if I watch somebody, let's say in the community that's in a place of struggle, it's like it's trackable. Like you said, it's measurable. I can just be like, oh, they haven't launched an ad yet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's month two, month three, month four. Oh, they're still have not launched the ad. Like it's taking self-responsibility of like, I'm not getting results because I'm in my own way. I'm too afraid. I'm not doing the thing. I'm not taking the step. I'm too afraid to see where I'm at, is how I
Mm,
see my language is like it's the fear, the inability to look at the accurate reflection of this is where I'm at right now in the learning curve.
mm-hmm.
Like and then just taking the steps, being able to look at that, asking for, asking for help and support in those places that aren't moving.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big piece, I'd say, is like bring, someone who's already in the community or somebody who's in the place, I'll speak to that first, someone who's in the community, that thing you're like feel embarrassed about or nervous about, speak to it, bring it to a coach, bring it to the community, actually name where you're at, because this community is so safe to express that. And like what gives me chills, even as I say it, is I love, that's one of my favorite parts, is just watching someone be emotionally met in the place that they've been struggling, and then it counter the story they've been telling themselves about of like, oh, if I share this,
Mm,
they're going to judge or put me down or whatever. And it's like, no, instead everyone builds them up and they're like, oh my God, this is, thank you
yeah.
all so much. And it's like getting to watch somebody like hit that victory.
It's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I was I think Chantel, I think you probably know Chantel in our
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
I imagine you do. She
Yeah.
shared at the end of Friday's call this last week because we were just talking about, because I did a little mindset training about like taking action and iterating, which I talk about a lot in the program, action and iteration. But between
Yeah.
action and iteration is observance, curiosity, and humility. So observe your results, be humble to the data that it's showing you, and
Yeah.
have curiosity about maybe why things are going that way, even when things are going well. Curious what you're learning, things are going bad, curious why, drawing no major umbrella across the board conclusions from anything, just kind of having that neutrality, right? And that humility to learn. And she
Mm.
brought up, it was really cool. She said, yeah, she was really struggling with sales calls. And it's so funny. My personality, like I don't get embarrassed about anything, dude. Like I'm like, this is just how it is. Like every time I've ever worked with somebody, I'm like, tell me, like I'll show you anything. What do you want to know? Very open book. But I'm realizing a lot of people not like that. But Chantel, she said, like she brought a sales call to the sales review, and that's when it clicked for her. And then she signed those like a bunch of like 2,000, or it was like $2,200 clients, like back to back, a bunch of them, even though she was
Yeah.
struggling for a minute. So
Yeah.
I would double down on that, man. Like I would
Mhm.
double down on that. Like sometimes we'll be maybe forward, but it's not like not caring. It's extremely
Yeah.
caring,
Yes.
it's very caring. Like we care so deeply about your business and we want to see you win, and I want to see you win. And the reason why our company is that way is because I'm that way.
Hmm.
One of the best parts about getting to do this and you'll experience this with your clients is like, man, like it's so cool. Like on one hand, I've got like this number on Stripe from you in January, or I think you wired it or whatever. And then now today, here you are. And it's like the fact that we can create that consistently, it's like you said, a responsibility to build this business is what it begins to feel like. It's very much
Hmm.
that way.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Never heard somebody talk
Yeah.
about it as like a responsibility. I've heard like calling. It's almost a different essence than like responsibility,
Yeah, it
but I
is.
like that.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like that.
the way that I like to add to that too is, you know, even just the word responsibility, it's responsibility. It's the ability to respond. And
Yeah.
it's like looking at the data and seeing like, oh, like you named it. It's like being humbled by the information that's coming in and looking at it and responding. Because so much of the unconscious, you know, those unconscious places we're all stuck is it's just reactivity. We're just
Yeah.
unconsciously playing out what we learned from mom and dad. We're avoiding the thing, we're avoiding the conversation, we're avoiding signing up for the program, we're avoiding doing the thing. We keep thinking about doing the thing, but we're not doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we need
Mm-hmm.
to do the thing to actually be able to notice like, what am I not taking responsibility for here? What am I not doing for myself that is the reason why the results aren't here? It's not because of the industry. It's not because coaching's dead. You know, I watch these ridiculous ads that come up of like the coaching
It's
industry's dead. And it's like, what are
ridiculous,
you
dude.
talking about? I'm
It's
watching all
so
these
ridiculous.
huge wins of, people
Yeah.
having like moving towards 70K months. Like the
Yeah.
coaching industry is thriving because people need help.
Yeah.
Like if that isn't felt on the global scale right now, like you are numb and shut down. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people that need help, and there's so many gift and skills out there where
Yeah.
people can help. And
Yeah.
so, like a piece of advice that I'd throw out there too for people who aren't in or are in, lean into the gift that God gave you and keep refining it. Keep like
Yep.
that's needed.
Mm-hmm.
Like that gift wasn't given for no reason. And there is one.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe it, go join a program, get accurate reflections from somebody who aren't your family, who can actually highlight what that gift is and
Yeah.
refine it. That thing that you love to do, that place where you could have the conversation forever. And like, just keep doing that, keep having those conversations, like
Yeah.
bring your passion to the world and help people with it. It's the most fulfilling business on the planet.
It's the best. It's the
It's the
freaking best.
best.
It's the
Yeah.
best, dude. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's so funny because I got this question like, how have you lasted like 6 or I think it's like 7 years? I can't remember how long I said or how long the question was. But I was like, I just don't know how you don't. Like, is
Yeah.
my response. You know what I mean? Like, how do you not last half a decade? It's like it's the best. Like you make a bunch of money, help a bunch of people. I think to be fair, maybe some people just their priorities get mixed or whatever. I don't know, but
Mhm.
I just it's over and over again. It's stores like yours,
Yeah.
and I think God's really blessed me. I think God's really blessed us as a company that, I was telling I did an interview actually with Taiwan. And I
Mhm.
was telling him the same. I was like, dude, God's blessed us. We just keep attracting just amazing people. It's just
Mhm.
like just over and over again. It just is like, man, like I've got some buddies, man, where they kind of secretly don't like their client base. You know what I mean? It's just like that
Yeah.
sounds awful. That sounds
Yeah.
like terrible.
Yeah.
I love our
Totally.
clients, man. It's
Yeah.
so fun, and it's just, dude, it's so fulfilling. And I don't know what we're doing right, but I don't plan on changing anything structurally in any major way anytime soon because kind of loving it.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
man, just to reflect there, the piece that you're doing right is being authentic. And that's, I've heard so
Mm,
many people reflect that in calls of that sentence of, this is why I chose you over others. It's just like
mm.
authentic and real. Like,
Authenticity. Yeah.
man, it's the most attractive thing. And I don't know what I can't remember the name of the study. There's a study done where they actually could measure people's frequency, and
Mm.
authenticity is like 7,000 times more attractive than love.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's really cool. Attractive vibrationally, like
Magnetic.
mm,
Like what draws people in and what magnetize more than anything is authenticity. And how I make
mm,
sense and how I coach my clients with is because there's safety. When there's authenticity, there's alignment of what's true, and that's safe in the nervous system. So it's magnetic. It's like I want to move towards that person because in the subconscious, like it doesn't take a lot of energy to feel where there's truth. And so it's easy to
oh,
move towards of like, I'm safe there. But if
yes.
there's someone who's like not being authentic and they're like, it's palpable. If you slow
Mm,
down and feel it, you can like, it's noticeable.
hmm.
So energy loves safety. This is, you look at evolution, it's like that's what
Yeah.
thrives is moving towards and create, you look at it in nature and it's like humanity
Creating safe
moves
places all the
towards
time.
water sources
Yep.
and they move towards where the resources as humans, how
Mm.
that models us is we move towards where there's fruitfulness of truth. Because then all of us is welcome. We can trust with what's there. It's
That's really cool. I've
yeah.
never heard authenticity described as a vibrational force, but that makes a lot of sense, you
Hmm.
know, because I made the decision a minute back actually. I said I'm just gonna stop trying so hard and stop pretending. This is probably 3 years ago ish. It's
Hmm.
right around when I started to get really serious with my woman, Lily, my wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like because I can't be that and be this at the same time.
Uh-huh.
So she gave me that gift. You know what I mean? Of
Yeah.
just being like, dude, just stop, just be yourself, like.
Oh,
And she just tells me all the time, like, dude, people need you, and I never forget, and it's like that's true. People need me just like they need you, just like they need her, just like people need each other, and so, yeah, dude. I mean, I used to really model like to the point where I'm not even kidding, Michael. Like literally, I would follow these influencers online and be like, that's what they wear. I'm gonna wear that. Like that
mhm.
level of like
Yeah, totally.
not even like
Yeah.
totally inauthentically like
Yeah.
something that I'm completely not. And then by the end of the day, I'd wonder why I'm so tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why am I so
Yeah.
tired? Oh, dude, you know why? It's because you've been put on a mask for about 8 hours on all these
Yeah.
coaching calls with your clients, pretending to be something that you're just not. And I really thought that that was the game, was put on something, put on this authority mask instead of just accepting the God-given authority that I have over this like domain. In Genesis, the first thing that God tells us to do is subdue the earth, subdue. Like we have dominion over these forces. That includes the vibrational forces that make up our reality. We're in
Hmm.
charge. Like humans are spiritual beings. So to sit
Yes.
here and be like, I need to be something in order to get something, or be something I'm not in order to get something, instead of becoming
Mhm.
something I'm not yet, so I can get it. You know what I mean? And
Uh-huh.
even that process of becoming, even though you're not there, there's still so much reward on the way up. You know, and I mean, I was doing 100 grand a month before I really feel like I became the guy that I like really think I now looking back really needed to be. But it's amazing how it works when you could just lean into the most authentic version of yourself, and you can just read it on people too, and they almost dig their own graves. It's like it just spreads. Like this person just seriously does not deal well, and that spreads so quick, you know. So I love that you're saying that, dude, and I love
which
that
is
that's
such
what
a
it is.
which is such a survival mechanism. That's what unconsciously we do is, we put
Mm,
this is, for sadly so many homes growing up, the messaging from the bodies of mom and dad and the siblings is like, don't bring all of yourself. That's a problem. And
yeah.
so we adapt. It's called the adaptive child. We adapt into this quality of, well, I'll put on all these masks. I'll change myself. I'll tend everyone else's feelings
Mm-hmm.
so that I belong.
Yep.
And then society does it. You look at the school system, it's like, no, no, no,
Yep.
no, don't speak what's true for you. Don't challenge what I'm saying. Just sit there and listen. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's like that's soul crushing.
Yeah.
It's like we're
Dude,
so
I
meant.
mean, freaking Rockefeller came to the board of education and was like, I need more factory workers.
Yeah.
And then they built the education system, and
Yeah.
everybody wonders why every kid's depressed and suicidal, and
That's right.
like they're on a freaking factory line, dude. Man,
Yeah.
that's so cool, dude. Well, I mean, we're getting so off track, but it's so good.
Yeah.
It's a great conversation. Like, um, but to kind of gently move back into the
Yeah.
focus of things. I guess I guess you're talking about your success in the program and
Mhm.
what you've been able to build. What does the future look like, man? Because you're coming off of this. You did 8.5 your first month, 14 grand this week, both financially and as well as the other senses of your business, the ways you want to help people and everything. What does the future look like for you, man? What do you want to build? Like I'd love to hear like how you want to take what you've learned in CB and push it out and what really the future holds for you, man, and just kind of get excited together about that.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I've learned right now, and it's funny because I didn't think it would be this fast, where it was like, oh, having a 14K week, I didn't realize I would want to change the business model. But
Yeah.
what I've discovered is the one-on-one work has a cap.
Yeah.
Like I can only like it's it's this exchange of time for money in a sense of
Yep.
like I can only fulfill so many people unless my price points keep raising for those people.
Yep.
And it's just that some people do that. That's not my
Yep.
style. I love serving people.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's changing for me is I notice, and this is the gift that God gave me, is I love to serve many people. I love community spaces. I
Mm-hmm.
love the one-on-one work and I'm really good at it, but I
Mm-hmm.
can only do so much of it. So where my business is going is, building an online community
Mm-hmm.
and nurturing that online community so that I can keep funneling in more people to serve, which
Mm-hmm.
then takes me from my financial targets of 20K months to, unlimited. But
Yeah.
like my like 1 year goal, I'd say, is like to get to that place of, 50 to 100K months. But
Cool.
knowing that I'm serving many people, and the only way that I see that happening is through community.
100%.
Yeah,
Um, Man, and I could just do like some live support on that with you if
love
you need
that.
it.
Yeah.
Dude, so I'll tell you, it's so funny. I literally just because this is the week where I'm like, we have so many clients succeeding. The coaches have been like, dude, you got to do more interviews. And I'm like, okay, let's do some more interviews. And I don't know, it wasn't even like I didn't want to. It was literally
Yeah.
just like it's just one of these things that you know how it is. There's so many things that happen in the business.
Mm,
But I was telling Tom on this, I'll tell you this. So, dude, to make the transition from one to one to group, like at the end of the day, the most important capital we have in this business model is relational capital, right? So
mm,
people, right? So, the money in your bank account is always a little bit of a lag between how much relational capital you've built, right? Generally,
mhm,
right? So, what you don't want to do is make that transition and it not, honor the relationships that you've built. Um, and what you also don't want to do is corner yourself into selling a new product. So it's just kind of a new service and not knowing how to sell it. Because like now you've got a group that these people weren't expecting, and now you don't know how to sell the group. Those are really the two problems that come with the transition.
mm,
So what I'd tell you to do, dude, is first of all, if you haven't already, get all your clients in a group chat and have them just drop a voice note and introduce themselves. That's a
mm,
huge one. Just be like,
mhm.
hey, you know what? Optional. Put you guys in a group chat. You can still text me one on one. How many clients are you working with now at like the given moment? It's like 10 or so, maybe.
Yeah, I think I have between 8 and 10.
So it's perfect. So you would just say, hey, I've got, these. these 7 other clients that I've been working with.
Mhm.
And I just think it'd be good for you to just get to know some of them. I'll make some specific connections for you that you think would be beneficial, specific group chats, but then
Mhm.
one for everybody. And just say, all I want you to do, and just say this at the end of your your one-on-one calls with them throughout the next 1 or 2 weeks. Just plant the
Mhm.
seed because you're really planting the seed of a community. Like a community is like this thing that you nurture and build. Um, and then it becomes an asset that's actually more valuable than your proximity, right?
Mhm.
Which is what's really cool when you talk about the community being the thing that really got you here. I mean, dude, like that's by design. This is 4 years ago. I'm starting
Mhm.
to do the same thing I'm telling you to do right now. So tell them all, hey, group chat, introduce yourselves. And then what I want you guys to do is send a daily update in here and help each other. Because I'm going to keep doing your calls, but I just want you guys to like support each other. And dude, you'd be surprised. They clamor. If you have relational capital with these people, this means you've given them a little more than you've taken. Then they'll clamor for that. Be like, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. Get you in there. And you say, hey, optionally, I've got this group call coming up on Wednesdays. Just keep doing it one-on-one with you guys, but I just feel like it'd be so good for us to get together as a community and talk about how we're growing in our key relationships and make it zero pressure for you, bro. Don't prepare anything. Don't don't think too hard. The asset that you're bringing together is people who are walking your CST, who are for the non-clients of ours who are walking that timeline, right? That growth trajectory that they're all on together.
Mhm.
And dude, just let the conversation be what it needs to be and kind of facilitate a little bit and lead a little bit. If people are quiet, then just step up and lead, just chat, ask questions, you know,
Mhm.
and you'll find that what makes a good community is you just have the right people. Like, there's not a lot of pressure on you, dude, to be honest, to have a good
Mhm.
community. Like, the
Mhm.
pastor isn't really the leader of the church. The people lead the church and are kind of allowing the pastor to be in the middle. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, it does.
So you're not really leading. You're just kind of getting out of the way and letting good people get together. When you get big enough, you need to start doing topical stuff like I kind of do sometimes. But even then, dude, sometimes I'm just like, what do you guys want to talk about? You know what I mean? Talk about whatever. Because you got great people.
Mhm.
So plant that seed. And then what I want you to do too is begin to practice on that pitch part of the call, which I don't like the word pitch really when you're inviting them in to get help that they need. Instead of saying one-on-one call 2 months, you really just replace all that language with community. So you start to sell the community as the main deliverable. Does it make
Yeah,
sense? You get a kickoff
makes so much
call and some
sense.
support, but really, man, this community and what you can start to do is honestly say the results that have come out of the community about 2 or 3 weeks after you set up that group chat and those group calls, because they're going to start to help each other. Because if they all care about
Mhm.
this enough to pay, they're just going to help each other. That's just the nature of things. And you can start to
Yeah.
say, this is Alyssa or whatever, just random, she actually got to meet with this person. They showed her this, and now she's here. So just getting you in there,
Mhm.
man, you got to be a part of this community. Can you reflect back to, I think you spoke to Johnny on our team a minute back, if I remember correctly. Who was it on our team that enrolled you?
I can't
Do you
even
remember?
remember who it
That's
was.
that's totally fine. Do you remember if
Yeah.
they ever shared their screen and showed you inside the community?
Can't remember.
Can't remember? That's okay. They always do.
Yeah.
They always do. And
Yeah,
all you
yeah.
do is you just share your screen and you say, you remind me a lot of this client who's in our community. They went from here
Oh,
to
yes,
here.
he did.
There you go.
Yeah.
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 And a lot and if your marketing is somewhat consistent, you'll find congruencies between people's stories. You say
Yeah.
this, and then they don't care because at the end of the day, right, Michael, like they're not paying for you, they're paying for the outcome. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you're
Yeah.
just right now the one-on-one calls is just a way of delivering the outcome, but more powerful than you is the people in it. And so why not talk to that and make that the primary focus and say optionally you can book a call with me to help onboard you if you wanted it. And that's the
Yeah.
language there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
all of a
that's
sudden, and people never ask. They're never like, well, how much one-on-one? And if they do ask that, they're probably not gonna be the best client, or you didn't do the best discovery throughout the call because they don't really feel like this is truly for them because they don't feel understood by you. So they're looking for ways to divert that decision and ask
mhm.
questions to get in the way of a decision point. So, does
Mhm.
that make
Yeah,
sense?
that makes so much sense.
hmm
Yeah, that's
So,
really
starting to plant
helpful.
that seed now and then learning how to sell it. That's really the only two things you got to do is plant the seeds now and then kind of figure out how to sell it. So sacrifice some calls at the altar of learning how to do a group.
Yeah.
Like half your calls or whatever, 20%, whatever. Just be like, I'm not going to sell anyone. I'm just going to sell the community. And then if
Yeah.
you have enough relational capital with your one-on-ones, just ask them politely. Say, hey, just letting you know, I'm capped at one-on-one. if you could just keep it between you and I that I do one-on-one, that would be amazing. Because I'm really trying to grow this
Uh,
thing, and I really want to make sure that my clients start to get started in just this, and the community becomes the asset itself. And if you've given more than you've taken, people are always willing to do these things for you.
Yeah, I've
You know what I
noticed
mean?
that.
Yeah.
Even just outside of the one-on-one work, Courtney and I, my partner and I just did a couples retreat last weekend,
Mm,
and it's the same principles translate because it's
yeah.
like there was so much over delivering on that it's like they want to give, they want to help, they want to support, they want to like
Yeah.
how can
Oh,
we,
dude.
and then
Hmm.
and I can feel that piece too, because what launched the online community is, I have a podcast. That's another cool thing. It's like there's the one-on-one work, but I've got the podcast.
Yep.
I have two podcasts. We have our together one, and then I have my own individual. And then I've been dropping the seed of like supporting men in a community, but I just waiting till that point where it's like, whoa, okay, there's so much asking for this
Yeah.
that it's like, okay, well, now here's the place. But I
Yeah.
love what you're sharing here too, because I wasn't thinking of how, like, who I'm already working with, translating that into a community or like with the group chat. Um,
It gives you a
yeah, it
starting
was,
grounds.
yeah,
Because then for these
yeah,
new prospects, you've already got it established and they've already gotten results.
yeah, that's
So you
right.
can just be like, check this out. This is what is happening within the community right now. And when you can just share your screen, this is why we love school. Share your screen, go to the wins tab, bam, look at this. This is what's happening. You know what I mean? They're like people just on a gut level, they're like, I need to be where people are becoming what I want to become. So let's do
Yeah,
this. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Thanks for that. That's super
Mm-hmm.
helpful.
Mm-hmm. That's how we made the
Yeah,
transition. This has been 4 years now. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so cool, dude. Well, what an awesome interview, man. And I really appreciate your time. And I'll probably cut the recording, but then hang out for a minute, you know?
yeah. Cool.
So it's really good, man. Thanks for your time. It was awesome to share the story. And I'm sure, like you said, a year out or so, another interview and you're doing that six-figure
Yeah,
month level. I know it'll happen. It's just
yeah.
inevitable. Compound the profits and
Yes.
go to system that scales, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
feel that.
it's
Yeah.
good stuff,
Such
man.
an honor. Yeah, such an honor to be a part of this interview. I love just being in this growth journey.
It's so
How
fun,
to
dude.
scale,
So
serve
fun,
more
dude.
people.
100%. 100%. Well, thanks again, man.